Hello, everybody. This is Buddy here in Midland. I just saw something on Facebook just a minute ago that I thought was interesting and decided to make a video out of this. Just in, acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf is resigning, citing recent events, including the ongoing and meritless court rulings regarding the validity of my authority as acting Secretary of Homeland. Okay, and I thought, well, I want to share this. I have this home and the crimes here have a connection to Homeland Security. So I just clicked on share now, public. Okay, and there it is, shared on my timeline right here. Okay, and then when I went over there and looked at it, it changed. Okay, and here, let me refresh that. Okay, you see what I had, what I shared is not what showed up on my timeline. It was a bait and switch. They pulled those switcheroo on me, right? Now it says Trump-Biden transition live updates, House Democrats introduce articles of impeachment, okay? And that wasn't what I shared, ABC News, okay? So you see where I was sharing the story. I don't know if I can go back. Evidently, I can't go back. And that's always happens with Facebook. But I want to talk about Homeland, okay? And so that's y'all saw it already. It was already on my screen. So anyways, I want to show you that they're pulling this switcheroo for whatever reason. And ABC News is, it looks like, in Facebook, working with them. And I want to tell you about Homeland. I want to talk about Homeland. Okay, last year I contacted Homeland Security here in Midland, and on May 28th, 2019, I met Homeland at the Midland Police Department, and I provided them a 3-ring binder of evidence along with a flash drive that I believe would solve multiple murders and stop this human trafficking ring. And Homeland is supposed to investigate human trafficking. I think there's a major connection to what's going on with human trafficking. I was told about a young girl that was murdered in a whole show party because she wouldn't prostitute. That was forced prostitution, sex trafficking, etc. And then of course the people in the attic here and at all the other homes, etc. So anyway, I have a video called Evidence Provided to Homeland that was made that shows you what was in that book, in that 3-ring binder that I provided to Homeland. And so then on July 2nd of last year, I got contacted, text message from Agent Paul, DHS Agent Paul. He wanted to come here to my home and meet me. And I was excited that this was the day that President Pence was, it was in the news. He turned around in midair and flew back to Washington, D.C. for an unknown emergency and made national news. And I suspected it was because of this DHS meeting here, concerning the tunnels and the underground homes and the murders and all that, with them me meeting them. Okay, and so then Paul he changes his mind. He don't want to meet me at my house anymore. He wants me to meet them at the Home Depot store behind my house. Okay, and I get over there, and he catches me off guard because I'm thinking I found some good cops. Finally, we're gonna, justice is gonna be served. They're gonna stop these killers, right? That's what I'm thinking. It's the amount of corruption. It's just blown me away with all this evidence that I've got. Breaking in homes, killing one homeowner after another, literally. Somebody stopped free pressing a murder in America to help them do this. I had to pay to get police identified. This is absurd what's going on. It's just lawlessness. And so anyways, I get over there, and Paul, he says, I don't know why you don't just sell that home if you're living under the threat of death. And that just caught me off guard. That's what the criminals want. That's what these killers want. The people that are breaking into homes and murdering innocent people inside their home. That's what they're conspiring to do, to terrorize me using corrupt law enforcement to sell my home. But only at the price they want, of course, And, they're wanting to gain property, conspire together. They're working together to terrorize a property owner into selling their property. It's basically my home. And the reason is obvious. There's an underground home here. They murdered a little girl there. They tried to murder me. It's going to expose. It's going to open up a can of worms. And many of them are going to go to jail. Maybe some of them get the death penalty, right? Yeah, it's easy to see why they want me to move out of my home. But That's what's going on, and what's surprising is it come from a law enforcement officer. I compared it, to the bank calling because somebody robbed the bank, and the police show up with a bank robbery, and go, I don't know why you don't sell this bank if you're getting robbed. That's absurd. Sell the bank because you're getting robbed. I didn't call law enforcement for you to tell me to sell my property. I want you to arrest the criminals so we can all live safe in our home. But anyways, I went over there. I showed them where I believe where the tunnels were at. We went behind Home Depot. We went in the alley. I showed them evidence on the wall where, that I think shows, where it was tunneled under. And then I showed them my backyard where it's believed that the underground home's located, etc. Well, then I get home and I text Paul and I send him this video I got called Decided to Sell My Home. And basically I'm explaining the Hobbs Act and say, hey, I finally decided I'd sell my home due to the terrorism that's being allowed by corrupt law enforcement. The ones that are looking at the evidence and knowing the crimes are going on and allowing it to happen, all to try to terrorize me into selling my home. So these criminals can get away with murder, basically, okay? And this was his text message from here. This was before there. We're heading that way to Walmart. We're leaving right now. I'll be there in 15 minutes. We're in the parking lot of Home Depot in a white Ford Explorer, black Ford F-150. This is Paul with Homeland, okay? We're out standing outside, out front of Homeland, okay? And then so I text him when I get back home, and, and he takes offense, Buddy, let's get something clear. I was not trying to talk you into selling your home today. I simply asked you why you wouldn't consider selling your home if you continue to feel threatened in there. I'll ask you to please not twist my words into something that I absolutely did not say or imply, And so here's what he's saying. He says, I didn't ask the bank to sell the bank, I just thought, I think the bank, should look at selling their bank if they're getting robbed, That's what he's saying. That's how absurd it is. You admitted in this text message that you tried to, talk to me about selling my home, and versus arresting these killers. Okay, remember, our entire conversation was recorded. I would love to get that. Post it. I want everybody in the whole nation to listen to this. Me explain the Hobbs Act to law enforcement, how they can't work with, criminals to entice a property owner selling their property. And so, here, I want to show you here. I got a video on this too. 2 weeks later, I get home, okay, and boom, 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 a picture shaking on the wall. They're busting out the ground behind Home Depot. They're going to pour in concrete, right where I showed them where the human trafficking murder tunnels were at. Remember, they're supposed to be stopping human trafficking, not pouring concrete to cover it up, And people are asking, isn't that tampering with evidence in a capital murders? Can't they get the death penalty for that? Met with Homeland, now they're pouring concrete 2 weeks later, And I mean, I literally have that on camera, the concrete coming out of the truck,
Anyways,
and
while I'm here, I think I'll take a picture here. This is where they're doing the concrete.
That's where I was at there with Homeland, right back there.
There's the concrete truck.
You can see the concrete coming off the.
Was there 2 weeks ago with the Homeland Security agent showing them where I suspected the tunneling.
Right, and so you can see this is just amazing what's going on here, right? I mean, and so I make the video, and here's what I was saying before. It's what they're coming up. My backyard is this underground $1 million underground home where they're having the oil show parties where they murdered that little girl in 2010. It's connected to the murder of the last homeowner that died the week before the 2008 oil show started. It's connected to the murder attempt in my life where somebody under my home shot me, left me to die, cut my phone lines and shot me. Go to Google Maps, look up my address, 3802 Fair Circle, and there it is. Go to Google Maps, look up my address, and that is going to be maps.google.com, and look in the backyard, and you'll see a large bunker, okay? Switch over to the satellite screen, and that large bunker can't be seen from above ground. I believe it's one of the 4 3-bedroom underground homes, 25 foot deep. I believe that's where the oil show party's going. I believe that's where that young girl was murdered at. I got multiple people documented telling me they're here. Earlier this year, I recorded a guy running for sheriff, okay, Joe Lozano, and he told me that our last sheriff, the late Gary Painter, used to hang out in these underground homes there. Layla O'Brien said she worked on this project, and they had a budget of $7.35 million, called it the Safe House Project, was finished in 1987. She believed the Bushes were connected with it, you know. Rhonda Denman Rogers told me there's an underground facility a half block away, you know. And then this woman, she said they were having pedophile parties down there, okay. So once again, you can see why, you know, certain people involved in the crimes and the murders would want to cover that up, right? They would want the concrete poured there, you know. And so here's another guy, Ricky Ronaldo. He just says, when I used to live in your house, we used to go in the tunnels under it, okay? Here's my home. I was ambushed and shot inside my home right here. Here's where it's believed one of the 4 underground homes are, $1 million underground homes. And you can see that's what I was showing Homeland. Look where they cut the concrete right here. Behind Home Depot store, you can see where they cut the concrete right there. The asphalt's different color, aimed directly at my house, you know. I believe that girl's dead body was moved from that concrete and moved through that tunnel right there. And that's where the people at the oil show party were coming here. They're parking in front of Home Depot and coming through that tunnel. And they were here in this underground home right here. And then this is where she was told that you're either going to prostitute or you're going to die. This is where the police were at the party. I was told there was corrupt police at the party. And then they carried her body out this tunnel, and Homeland filled it full of concrete after I showed them where it was at. That's what I believe, okay? And that's what it looks like, you know? Well, 3 months later, guess what? Secretary of Homeland Kevin McGleenan resigns. Ain't that interesting? 3 months after I get that video of concrete being poured that I believe was to cover up multiple capital murders. 6 days after that, Energy Secretary Rick Perry resigned. He was former governor of Texas. He was actually governor of Texas when the little girl was murdered, you know, when the OSO parties were going on. He was governor of Texas when I was shot and left for dead inside my home. Somebody under my home shoots me. He was governor of Texas when the last owner of this home died the week before the 2008 oil show started, you know. And it's suspected that maybe some oil companies that had people that were involved with the $1 million underground homes and the parties down there, they don't want the public to find out about the little girl being murdered, so they're leaning on the U.S. Energy Secretary, you know. And that was the reason that they resigned, you know. I'm going to show you one more. This is the 50,000 foot view here, you know. And, you know, I was in Home Depot telling my story to a clerk one day, and she just blurts out, if you happen to see a lot of people in the parking lot late at night, it's because we're stalking, you know. Really, you know, just blurted that out, you know. And I hadn't seen it and thought about it, and I'm thinking, you know, an oil show party's going to have a lot of people. They're international oil show, and they're going to need parking, and they're going to need an excuse, you know. Oh, yeah, a lot of people parking out there late at nights because they're stalking. Are you sure you're not underground raping and murdering little girls? Are you sure that ain't what you're really doing? That you didn't go out through this little tunnel right there and come over to this underground home right here that multiple people, including the sheriff's candidate, said was here? You know, are you sure about that? And so, you know, I think it's pretty clear, actually. You know, here, this guy, Aaron Packelhofer, I made a video on this recently. He asked me if I knew the names of the 4 people been murdered, died in my house. 4 of them. And can you imagine? Obviously, I was supposed to be the 5th. They cut my phone lines before they shot me inside my own home, right? I was just the next guy after the last guy, you know. Who was the last guy, buddy? This guy, Michael Lawn, 27 years old. You know, and he had death certificates in 2 different towns, you know. It's just amazing the evidence I found. Obviously, Mike was murdered here and carried to Fort Worth. And this on the bottom's a print screen. A friend of Mike was saying that he was telling everybody somebody was breaking in this house. You know, do you think you think that has a connection to the underground home in the backyard? You know. And then we have this girl. This is an active Crime Stoppers the sheriff's office is supposed to be working on, right? And I've been contacting them and the Rangers and contacting them because she was found in August 2013 and 14 to 21 years old outside of Midland. And my friend Angie McGee Hurley told me about a young girl that was murdered at an oil show party in October 2010 during the Permian Basin 2010 International Oil Show, and I believe Angie was leaving my home and at the party in 5 minutes. I believe she was driving around, parking at Home Depot, going underground, coming back via that tunnel, and here one of them 4 underground homes in my backyard. That's where I believe this young girl was murdered at. That's one of them 4 murders that Aaron asked me about. And then this guy, he's a missing man from Odessa. But, I wondered if he ain't one of the people that Aaron told me about. There's evidence that goes along. And he disappeared 3 months before Mike died. The neighbor, Marilyn DeLuigi, told me twice Mike died in my house, but she also said somebody else died here before him. And that was 3 months before Mike Lawhon died. And so you can see here, they were more than switcheroo, on Facebook and ABC News, with the DHS story. But I thought I would share that.